bless us, everyone.
Hello, movie lovers, and welcome to our Christmas Carol reviews. This is episode 10. If you have not caught the previous ones, find them on my channel, and make sure you click the link in the description if you want to see the introduction so you know what's going on. So we have a very, very special Christmas Carol adaptation today. This is the first ever animated adaptation of Christmas Carol, and it is Mr. Magoo's Christmas Carol, released in 1962, starring the beloved Mr. Magoo, voiced by Jim Backus, who also played Thurston Howell in Gilligan's Island, if you know that show. He plays the titular character of Scrooge. Now, this was a Mr. Magoo cartoon. We open up, and the whole premise behind this is Mr. Magoo is playing Scrooge in a show. So we open up with Mr. Magoo driving his car the wrong way down traffic, which he tends to do a lot. Gets to the theater, tries to go in the stage door, goes into the grocery store next door, and they have to kick him out, and all of a sudden, oh, now we're here, and we got to start. 30 minutes late, classic Magoo on everything like that. But I didn't really grade that when I went to the actual telling of Scrooge and the actual Christmas Carol. I waited till he was actually in the play and how he portrayed it that way. So let's get right into that one. So first off, the whole story was a little bit weird. They decided to put the Christmas past goes before they decided to put the Ghost of Christmas present before the past, so we know what's going on before. I mean, I'm not sure why they did this. There really was no reason for it, but it just kind of did, and it lost a lot of the transformation, the evolution we see of Scrooge. It lost a lot of that when they put it in the wrong order. So, talking about Scrooge, because it had that true to the book, 2 out of 5. It didn't follow it. So, Mr. Magoo, 6 out of 10 on Bad Scrooge. He's a fun-loving guy. He really cannot play bad that well. He's just so adorable. He's nearsighted. He can't do much. So I had to give him a 6 out of 10 on that one. But when he was nice Scrooge, 3 out of 5. Better than 50%. Actually a decent job on that one. So, but his transformation, like I said, we lost a lot of how it went because we were finding out why Christmas is a good thing before we found out why he was bad and why he should do that. So there was a lot of it that just needed to be changed. And so a 6 out of 10 on that one. Not the best score. Could have obviously been better if we got that progression. Now moving on. Marley. 4 out of 5 following the book. Did a great job. Had the face over the knocker. Showed up. Talked to him. It was great. But the conversation and everything, a 6 out of 10 on the interpretation. So I gave that one a 10 out of 15 on that. Moving to Christmas Past. By the way, remember the past came after the present. So this is kind of in the backwards order, but I'm still going to do it in the order that we are doing our reviews because I want to make sense. But we're talking about the past. One thing I really enjoyed was the original songs in this whole thing. They actually had original songs that Magoo sang, that all the rest sang, and it was really good. And what they did here was they actually had a duet between old Scrooge and his child self. And it really exemplified how what Scrooge was going through as a child, he started going through older. I mean, trying to get used to something or trying to find somewhere, everything. Just his misery. We really got to see that transformation. Then when he went to Fezziwigs and everything, it was really well done on all of that as well. Now, moving on to the Ghost of Christmas Present. The first thing I have to give it a knock for was they only showed the Cratchits. There was no Fred. They didn't go through the other people, so it really didn't follow the book in that way. 2 out of 5 on that. And also just the Cratchits thing seemed kind of, I don't want to say forced. I just want to say kind of apathetic might be the word, just going from here to there, going through the lines. They got all the important lines. The one thing that was kind of interesting that I didn't like as much was when Scrooge remembers his mean lines. If he's going to die, he better do it and decrease the surplus population. He has a flashback, a memory of them more than the ghost just throwing them back in his face. And it didn't work as well as if the ghost had actually used them, at least in my opinion. Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come. I have to say, this had one of the funniest songs in the whole thing. So we're going through, and obviously the ghost is showing him everything. And we get to the part with Old Joe. And you have the 3 people with items. And first off, the items they show, the guy that gives the cufflinks, they have an ES on them. Like, well, whose initials could be ES? And it's kind of, you lose the mystery of who this person is. But then after they go through everything, they sing a song called "We're Despicable," and they're happy to be despicable. And the way that they were drawn, they were like the old Hanna-Barbera witches, which is fine because Magoo is sort of a Hanna-Barbera type thing. But they were drawn like the witch. They had the warts, the long nose, they were green, everything. And then they sing "We're Despicable." And they make it perfectly outright that they just don't care at all, that they are not mourning this guy. And I was like, wow, yeah. I thought it was just funny when I remembered it. And it was really, really good on that part. But besides that, the rest of the future just really didn't work too well. So while it did follow the book, 5 out of 5, I don't count original songs thrown in there with that. But 4 out of 10 on that one, because first off, the song's just so ridiculous. You lose that seriousness, and then it missed a few of the things on that as well. Cinematography, it's animated. So whatever the director wanted you to see, you saw, and it was animated in the style of Mr. Magoo. I didn't want to give it a bad score because it is animated. It's a different style, but I also didn't want to, I didn't want to give it a good score because it's hard to do when you're on these cameras. So I gave it a middle of the pack score. I gave it a 6 out of 10. And in fact, I plan on actually, unless something just blows me away on these animated ones or really just doesn't work, I plan on giving it all the animated ones a 6 out of 10 just as a middle of the road. Costume and makeup, it all comes down to how were they drawn. And they were drawn fairly well. A 7 out of 10 really captured the Victorian English one. And then the music, like I said, there's a song called "We're Despicable." There's some other fun songs in there, and Magoo really just covers everything. So an 8 out of 10 on that musical. The one thing that I was really disappointed with this Mr. Magoo musical, or the Mr. Magoo Christmas Carol, is I was expecting it to be a little bit more Magoo-ish, or Magoo-esque, you might say. As in, I expected a few more blind jokes. The whole shtick for Mr. Magoo is he's nearsighted. He can only see about 5 inches in front of him without having to look at other things. And really the only things you saw about that was driving in the wrong direction at the beginning, and then at the end he's bowing in the wrong direction when the camera's opening, or when the curtain's opening and shutting. Other than that, it was really missing. So I'm not going to knock any sort of Christmas Carol thing because we're only talking about the Christmas Carol story, which was actually very well done. I am only talking about how my personal opinion, I would have liked a little bit more of the Magoo portion of it, since that is the name of the special. Okay, guys, so that is our review of Mr. Magoo Christmas Carol, released in 1962. Like I said, it was the first animated Christmas Carol feature to ever have. We have a lot more coming up. In fact, the next one that we have is also an animated feature, probably a little bit more famous for a lot of people than Mr. Magoo, but we'll have to wait on that. So make sure you keep an eye out for that in episode 11. Thanks for watching, guys. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe down below. God bless all of you, and that's a wrap.